On today's episode of The Front Row, we are at the National Ranching Heritage Center here on 4th Street, and we're visiting with Leanne Lust, who is the Education and Outreach Manager. Leanne, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you on The Front Row.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So, for people who don't know, this is the National Ranching Heritage Center, which is co-located with the Museum of Texas Tech University. Tell us a little bit about what the National Ranching Heritage Center is, and is it a part of the museum? Are they co-joined? How does that work?
Yeah, so the National Ranching Heritage Center is actually completely independent of the museum. Okay. There was a time in our history when we were associated with each other, but that has since not been the case. Okay. And so we are a completely separate entity. What we do is we have 55 historic structures that celebrate the history of ranching and the heritage that has. We say we are real ranches with real stories and the real heritage. And then we have about 75,000 people who visit us from all around the world every year. And more people were asking, this is cool, but so what is a ranch? And so we partnered with John Erickson, the author of the Hank the Cowdog books, and he wrote books for us to describe what ranching was using the voice of Hank the Cowdog. We did lessons that go with that, curriculum that goes with that, and then we went a step further and brought that to life. So we also have a whole new area that's called the Cash Family Ranch Life Learning Center, where you can study and learn about modern ranching through the voice of Hank the Cowdog and the M Cross Ranch.
Okay, wow. That's amazing.
It is. It's super fun.
And the physical plant that you have here is enormous because you not only have the offices and a lot of sort of museum artifacts here, but you have all of these historic buildings and things that go with us. Tell us more about that.
Yes. Well, it's really neat. When they first started the National Ranching Heritage Center, it was going to be a center for arid climates. So there's going to be an African section and a Saharan section, and but in a good university, they formed a committee, and and I'm so glad that they did, because what they found is that a lot of the people that were on that committee actually had a ranching background, and they said, well, actually, I have the old mail camp house on our ranch. We would donate that. And so every single one of our structures that are here are original, except for one. And when they were donated to us, they were also donated with the funds to move them and restore them. So Texas Tech University pays 30 to 40% of our budget. The vast majority of our budget is through an association. So we kind of have a public-private partnership, and it started from the very beginning of the National Ranching Heritage Center, and it's called the Ranching Heritage Association. And so we have a little over 2,000 members from all over the United States, even a couple of countries that are part of that association, most of which never even come here. They just really support what we do and the heritage that we have and preserving this way of life.
Wow. How many structures do you have?
There's 55 historic structures out there. And now some of them are a windmill, or there's actually a feed trough that's one of them. So they're not necessarily 55 houses, but there's 55 historic structures.
Gotcha. Okay. And then you have some within the museum here. I was just looking out there. You have this wonderful bedroom recreation.
Burke Burnett's bedroom. So when they redid the big house, they donated Burke Burnett's bedroom to us, and that was actually donated by Anne Marion. She's the great-great-granddaughter of Burke Burnett. She also donated the 4 Sixes barn to us, and in the early 1980s. Also donated the funds to turn it into what it is now, which is a venue that people can rent and have things in, and it houses our branding iron collection as well as our barbed wire collection.
Cool. Excellent. Well, there's an event coming up, the Ranch Day.
Yes.
And it's something I don't know anything about, and so I wanted to come talk to you so you could tell us what that is.
It's the most fun day. So it's our 56th annual Ranch Day. So when we first started, we only had about 10 or 11 buildings. And so they had the very first Ranch Day actually in Snyder. and invited people to come. And then the next year they opened up just that day and invited people to be here for to see these 11 structures that they had completed. And then over time it has just grown and grown and grown. And so what we have now is we have about 35 different activities that are going to be going on throughout the park. Everything from, we'll have people dressed in period clothing in many of the structures. If you want to go through the Barton House, this is your big chance. It will be open. One of our sweet ladies will give tours of the Barton House, so that way you can kind of see on the inside, because that's not something that's open all the time. We will have someone in the blacksmith shop that can talk to you about how it works, and he's actually a blacksmith, so he will be actually pounding on the iron and doing that. We will also we partner with a lot of the organizations at Texas Tech University, and then they actually bring things and do activities. So the meat science team will come and talk about different cuts of meat and what that means and how that works. We have the agronomy club comes, and they talk about all of the things that they have. We have just a ton of different activities that people can participate. We even have a guy that will be here if you want to ride a horse. You can have your first horseback ride. And so we will have that. He will be here from 10 to 1. And so it's just the most fun day. We have a ton of activities, a ton of things going on, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And give us time and date for that.
Yes. So it is this Saturday, May the 3rd. So it is a reschedule. So we originally had this in April, scheduled in April, and had to reschedule it because that was the weekend that it snowed.
Oh, right.
And yes,
Right.
so we rescheduled, and so it will be this Saturday, May the 3rd. The doors open at 10, and it ends at 4.
Okay.
So from 10 to 4. The horses, however, will only be here until 1. They get tired.
Yeah.
And so if that's important to you, come then. We will also have the ranch horse team working some horses in the round pen. We'll have a cattle and horse demonstration kind of out in one of our back areas. So just a ton of stuff to see.
I'm so glad you mentioned the Barton House.
Yes.
You and I have talked about this before. I grew up west of Abernathy, and as a child, I played in that house.
Yes,
and
yes.
So I remember vividly the move
Yes,
of that house
uh-huh.
here to where it rests. And I have to say that your restoration is magnificent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We had the absolute best compliment about 2 months ago. One of the some of the family, the Barton family, came by, and they had family in town from that were here from out of town, and I guess it would have been one of the great granddaughters. She said Mrs. Barton would be so happy at how this looks and what is being done with it, and that just thrilled my soul to know that the legacy that they started and that the Barton family started in Barton Site has just continued on. And even though Barton Site didn't stay as a town for very long, Mr. Barton helped so many of those businesses relocate to Abernathy.
Right.
And matter of fact, the pharmacy in Abernathy right now was an old Barton Site business. And she's originally from Cotton Center. And so we actually have a full circle that we have our drugstore, our drugstore there and pharmacy there in Abernathy that made that full circle.
That's really wonderful. Ranch Day is coming up. Tell us again, time, date, place.
Yes, Ranch Day here at the National Ranching Heritage Center. The doors open at 10. It will be from 10 until 4. If you want to ride a horse, you need to be here before 1. But all of the activities will be going on all day from 10 o'clock until 4 o'clock. We will have a couple of food trucks here. If you get hungry, we'll have some popcorn. We'll have some things that you can purchase for that sort of thing. But all of the activities, the entrance into Ranching Heritage Center and everything, including the horse rides, is all free. So we take donations, and we love those, but we want everyone to be able to participate.
Sounds great. Leanne Lust is Education and Outreach Manager here at the National Ranching Heritage Association. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope to see everyone here on Saturday.